New segment alert, it's officially Muller time, where I get a minute to mind dump without interruption. Real quick, Preston, I saw an Oregon fan wearing a Gonzaga hat. I went up and asked him where he's from and what he's all about. He said he bought his Gonzaga hat yesterday. So I think Gonzaga's picked up a few Oregon fans for this game today. Since we're out here in Las Vegas, you could say he didn't want to gamble and risk injury ahead of his NFL draft process, so his career at Oregon has come to an end. This loss will sting for some time, but eventually the Ducks will be able to look back at all they accomplished this season, the 33 wins, the Pac-12 regular season championship, and their first trip to the Final Four in 78 years. This year they come in with the #1 defense. They win 24-10. So I guess Bear Bryant's famous quote, offense sells tickets while defense wins championships, holds some merit, at least in the Broncos storyline. We got to speak with head coach Mario Cristobal before practice, and he said he's very pleased with how his team is approaching this week, even dropping one of his Cristobalian lines. Las Vegas, Sin City, the City of Lights. This place has many names, but for Oregon left tackle Tyrell Crosby, this is home. Well, Travis, I learned that Boise State had been waiting 8 years to punch back, and it didn't look like the Ducks were ready for it. They got knocked to the mat early in this one. So we've got live music, we've got barbecue wafting through the air, and Blazer super fans. One of them joins me right now. It's Lonnie Bear Cub Rogers. How hyped are you for this one? The total point spread in this one is the highest of any game this bowl season, sitting around 79 total points right now. And the TCU defense takes that to heart. They've been beaten up all season long. Only 2 guys have started in every game this season for them, and they feel like they have something to prove come Saturday. Hey Preston, it's a wet and soggy day here on the campus of USC, but last night at UCLA, it was a dry spell that downed the Ducks. When these two face off on Saturday, it'll snap a string of 10 consecutive meetings of both teams being ranked in the top 25 when they face off. This year, neither are in the top 25. 30 years as the voice of the Ducks for football and basketball, and Jerry Allen called Saturday's win over Kansas the #1 Oregon moment in his book. Emotions ran high in that post-game locker room, but now the team is focused on the Final Four. So who's next? Western Michigan's PJ Fleck, Ohio State's Greg Schiano, maybe former offensive coordinator Scott Frost. It could be any of those, but fan favorite Chip Kelly says it's not going to be him. With an undersized quarterback so lively and quick, the Seahawks hope to playoff 2 seed is where they would stick. They've clinched the West, but need a win to keep their bye. Arizona came to town. Last time out, these teams tied. Speaking of UO softball, as I mentioned, dropping back-to-back series for the first time since 2012. Usually that's a death sentence in the Pac-12 because it's so dominant, but the Ducks are still in the pack right now. They're still in the hunt. They're only a couple games out, and they got Arizona coming up this week. They threw about 4 pitchers today. All of them gave up multiple runs. It's unfortunate that they rely so much on Peterson that they were almost forced to throw him out there on Friday when he was under the weather, and now you're lost with a first home sweep since 2011. The Oregon women are headed to the NCAA tournament. Now, it's kind of interesting because I do think they finish with the same record they had last year, which was 20-10. But their RPI is up there. It's hovering around 36 right now. They got that marquee win. That's all they were missing, that marquee win, and they got it in very impressive fashion against UCLA the other night. This team is on a roll right now. They do end the season with Stanford. That's another big one, but I don't even think it matters. I think they can lose to Stanford at home, and I think they're still in to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. It's all because of the addition of pitching coach Jason Dietrich. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's maturity. It's probably a mixture of all three. What it really is, though, it's lucrative. With Dietrich seemingly correcting Peterson's command issues, he could find himself being drafted in the first round of the MLB draft come June. Peterson called Coach Dietrich a genius before the season even started. You know what they say, talent recognizes genius. That's Muller time. It was an unscripted summer rivalry. Sports anchor versus Sasquatch.
Tonight's headline reads, Sasquatch still missing.
When raced straight up, it was hardly contested.
Headline on the news tonight reads, Sky just couldn't stop messing with Sasquatch.
Until last week, I didn't know just who I was messing with.
So I was a Sasquatch at the Eugene Emeralds this summer.
Pierce Lacoste, a senior at Marist High School. And as it turns out, the Squatch has been racing all his life, beginning at the age of 1 with all-comers meets at Hayward Field.
I always used to get really upset because they give me the purple participation stickers, and if I got first or second, I'd be like, I want those ones. I wanted the blue and the red ones because the older kids got those ones.
16 years later, Pierce returns to where it all started. But now, he's a decathlete for the Ducks.
Yeah. So now
it really doesn't even feel real. It just happened so fast.
Pierce held offers from smaller schools for individual events, but after attending a camp at Hayward in June, a connection was born with 2017 Pac-12 decathlon champion Mitch Modine, and it changed everything.
I was like, hey, maybe you're not great at these events, but you can be phenomenal at this event where you get to do everything.
The decathlon, jack of all trades, master of none. Modine started training Lacoste, having him try events he'd never done before. And in about 8 practices, Pierce proved to be a natural.
A few sessions, he was already jumping like 13 feet, and I knew that at that point we kind of had something that was going to take him a lot further than I think he even knew.
Lacoste can go far, but he's not going to have to travel far. The Eugene native will compete in his own backyard, where he's already experienced the Hayward magic.
Huge PRs every time. I always want to go back to Hayward.
Now Hayward is home, and the boy who was as mysterious as the character he played is a man of Oregon, training to be Hayward's next household name. And the lefty who lives by the fastball has been dealt a few curves along the way.
Go, PD! Go, Frank! Swing and a miss, strike 3! 2-2. Peterson to the plate. Inside corner, strike 3 call. The 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3! 20 strikeouts for David Peterson. Complete game shutout.
I love to work hard, to be better and to be the best that I can be.
For Oregon left-handed pitcher David Peterson, work ethic was taught at a young age. Mornings not spent sleeping in, but at the family stable.
It was wake up at 5:30, be at the stables by 6, and then be there for about an hour and a half while he worked.
A typical morning for the son of a thoroughbred trainer. David's father, Doug, is best known for training Seattle Slew shortly after the 3-year-old colt won the Triple Crown in 1977. On a sunny weekend in Southern California, the father and son were inseparable at the racetrack. But soon, David's weekends would be busy with his passion, baseball.
The passion that he showed for his work, I've kind of reflected that in baseball, and he was always on me to get better and always pushing me to work harder than other people.
In 2004, as was routine, Doug headed for a weekend horse race at Hollywood Park in Los Angeles. But for 9-year-old David, the day felt anything but normal.
I remember running in front of the car before he left, and I was begging him not to go. I had like a weird feeling. I was begging him not to leave, and he said, "I'll see you again." And then I told him I loved him, and that was it.
A temporary goodbye turned permanent far too soon, all caused by what David describes as a doctor's mistake.
He had been taking medication, and they gave him something else to take and took them together and didn't wake up.
On the worst day of his life, the pitching mound was his safe haven. Hours after learning his father died, David went out and threw a no-hitter. It's a day Peterson says forced him to grow up fast, and it became clear when pitching to mom, grandparents, and Little League coaches, his fastball was growing up at a similar pace.
They tried to catch me until a certain point, and then it turned into a place where they didn't want to be catching me anymore.
By the time he was a senior in high school, Major League scouts hinted Peterson could have a tough decision to make between going professional or off to college.
I never really bought into it just because I knew I'd seen how much it could change for friends before me.
Things did change on a baseball brotherhood retreat prior to his senior season. The team decided to play some basketball, and while taking off for a layup, Peterson's leg gave out.
They told me that I'd snapped my fibula and that it was going to take a while, and that was, for me, it was kind of just, it was overwhelming at the time.
Exactly 6 weeks out of surgery, he was back on the mound. But come draft day in 2014, Peterson didn't hear his name called until the 28th round. So it was off to the University of Oregon to get a degree and drive up his draft stock.
Obviously had the injury, and that probably affected it, and I had to deal with that. It's just something I had to accept. And once I got on campus, it was kind of behind me.
He set a freshman school record for strikeouts in a season. As a sophomore, he lowered his earned run average in another solid season. But this year, Peterson has reached another level, posting the nation's best strikeout to walk ratio, recording double-digit strikeout totals in nearly half his starts.
For me, it's whoever comes out there, it doesn't matter. I kind of see people as nameless and faceless, and it's my job. It's me versus them, and I'm going to beat you, and that's how it's going to go.
Peterson has credited new pitching coach Jason Dietrich with helping him out.
His thing is basically if you work hard and you put your focus and your energy into what you're doing, then you go from there and you see what happens.
A style that's been a smooth transition for Peterson, considering hard work has always been the norm, dating back to his early days working beside his dad.
And that's the one thing I respect the most is the work he puts in. He's dedicated to wanting to be the best. And for me, I feel how you separate yourself at the next level is putting in the work and time and energy and effort to prepare yourself to go to battle, once a week.
It's made me the person and the player that I am today, and I think with the people that I have in my life, I can get through anything.
Those people include mom, grandparents, sister, aunts, girlfriend, and forever inside, dad.
One of the biggest things that I respected about my dad was how much attention to detail and passion he put into what he did.
Peterson's approach on the mound embodies his father, showcasing himself as college baseball's premier strikeout pitcher, and his MLB draft stock continues to climb. Knowing nothing is guaranteed, David is living in the present, but there's little doubt his past helped mold him into a pitcher with a bright future.